r/AskReddit created by routinereddit. What movie hit you the hardest, emotionally speaking? The movie About Time. When the main character spends his last moments with his dad, and they go back to when he was a boy on the beach, sobbing the whole time. I watched About Time not too long after my dad unexpectedly died, thinking it was just a light-hearted rom-com. I was not ready for it. That movie messed me up for a while, but I still love it though. I did the same thing a few days after we put my dad in hospice. A beautiful movie, but it was definitely the wrong time for it. I thought the movie was a romantic comedy and had no idea that scene would make me sob so much. I still get a ball in my throat when I think about them on the beach. It's marketed as a romantic comedy, but that story is almost second to the love story between father and son. It's really beautiful to see such a good father in film. It makes me want to be a better father every time I watch it. Yeah, the romantic aspect is wrapped up halfway through the movie. The rest is about family. I've cried watching a movie 3 times in my life. Once was during Dear Zachary and the other 2 were watching that scene in About Time. My father is 71 and it really hits me in the gut. This movie was way better than I thought it would be. This movie is just wonderful. The moment that got to me was I'm so utterly disinterested in living in a world without your father. Richard Curtis and Emma Freud are really gifted at capturing life and the little moments between ordinary people. Granted, they are played by movie stars that make life what it is. I'm trying to convince my boyfriend to watch About Time with me. It's not really up his street, but I hope it's the kind of film that anyone can enjoy. I'm a guy, and I'll tell you that. 1. It's one of my personal all-time fav movies, and 2. I showed it to a group of guy friends, and they all either liked or loved it too. Life is beautiful. The kid's dad gets him to believe the concentration camp is just a game and everyone is in on it, like it's a special adventure to protect him from the horrors they faced. We watched that movie in 8th grade when we had nothing to do in math at the end of the year. You ran out of math. They started with 10 math, then they minus 10 math. You do the math. I remember this movie being shown. I went to the movie theater. They warned it was captioned. Different language, all the better for me, because I liked foreign movies. It was perfect, because I did not have glasses. But, I could see /red words on the big screen. I did my usual. Get a large popcorn and a drink. However, I would always get a large portion of that fake butter salt in a napkin and season my popcorn as I made my way down to the bottom. Seasoning is needed. As the movie reached its end, I abandoned my popcorn. My tears began flowing. I stifled my sobs with the last of my napkins. Everything stung. My eyes stung, my cheeks burned, my lips were parched and hurting. When the credits rolled, I quickly walked to the ladies' room and ducked into the toilet stall. I had a moment to compose myself. Then I opened the stall door and walked to the sink. I saw my face in the mirror. It was covered in orange buttered salt. If had known then what I know today, I should have run for president. Ha ha ha. That last line got a good giggle. Yes, it's an Italian film, truly a film we are proud of. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. The ending of Coco had my wife bawling like crazy because her grandmother has Alzheimer's. I teared up when the flashback shows Hector singing Remember Me to toddler Coco and she's reaching up to his face singing with him, but absolutely sobbed when Miguel then sang it to her. The correlation back to Hector, the breaks in his voice, the animation of her face, how it goes from the confused, stuck in mud kind of face to clearing up, and her eyes brightening, and being herself for even a moment, and then her asking her daughter what's wrong and her crying and saying nothing mama. Dang, I ugly cry through that. That was absolutely beautiful. I comment this each time, but I lost my granddad to dementia, and in her first scene, I realized Coco had dementia and I knew there would be a moment I would cry. I literally sobbed on my bed for 10 minutes after that scene, because of how she had the moment of recognition and memory. I couldn't stop crying. It still gets me now. I watched that scene just yesterday morning, and cried more than ever, and then cried at little things all day. The saddest part of it all is that had they just allowed music, Mama Coco's later years wouldn't have been spent so isolated in her shell. My daughter is 18 years old now. For the past couple of months she has been on a Coco obsession. We watch it at least once a day. The part that really gets me is at the end, when Hector is joined by Abuelita and Coco before crossing the bridge. He hugs Coco, the music plays, and he finally gets to cross with his wife and daughter. I cried pretty good the first few times and tear up hard now thinking of that moment. It hits me hard as a dad just thinking about if I left my little girl and decades later I've been constantly denied the chance to see her, only to finally be reunited with her. Crap, that movie hits harder than any other Disney movie. The Fox and the Hound, when Widow Tweed leaves Todd in the forest to keep him from getting shot by Slade. Goodbye may seem forever, farewell is like the end. But in my heart's the memory, and there you'll always be. Gets me every time. We'll always be friends forever, won't we? Yeah, forever. I read this in the little kid voices they used, dang it. No joke, Forrest Gump. The scene where he finds out he has a kid and asks if it's like him. That hit me like a ton of bricks, probably because of my own insecurities. Oh, and also Bubba's death, so sad. Fat F. Edit. Wow, didn't realize people related to the scene just as much as I did. Oh god, the kid scene and him admitting he knows he isn't smart, though he is smart. Also, but I miss you Jenny. But I miss you Jenny always makes me bawl. The scene that gets me every time is when he's at the grave talking to Jenny under the big oak tree. He's so smart, Jenny, with the emotion in his voice gets me. So moving. I don't know why I'm crying in the club right now. When I watched Bridge to Terabithia I thought this is not so bad. What is everyone talking about? Pretty wholesome overall, and then it happened, and I cried like a baby. I watched it on a plane. My jaw dropped at that point. Had no knowledge about it, so had no inkling that was coming. My father also watched it on a plane and had no knowledge about it. He got quite unexpectedly emotional. I had read the book, so I was waiting for it to happen. Still hits you like a ton of bricks. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has never not hit me hard. I only saw it once and never again. I watched a test screening before it came out. My GF of 4 years broke up with me a few days before. I watched it right after my breakup for some reason I can't even begin to comprehend. Nevertheless, I was in total shock for as long as I was thinking about the movie. I actually make a point to watch it after breakups. It helps trigger the flow of emotions and kinda nosedives me to rock bottom to help move on faster. What Dreams May Come leaves me a sobbing mess through the whole movie. Really underrated movie all around from what I can tell. So rare to see it mentioned. I totally agree. I loved that movie. It gets me emotionally also. I had never even heard of the movie until this girl I was dating made me watch it. Well, I married that girl, bought a house, had a few kids, and after 14 years of being together, she passed away on the 8th of July 14. So now that movie is kind of special to me. I miss her. I missed a lot. I'm sorry for your loss. Stay strong. The Pianist. After I finished the movie, it just dawned on me that this could really happen to anyone. We take our periods of peace for granted, as one day we might be put in a similar situation where we lose everything, and that really messed with me hard. The scene where he plays the piano, but actually not playing, just air fingering the keys, made me so sad. Had played piano my whole life. Moved to a small apartment shortly after being homeless for a few years and couldn't sleep, was scared, about 17, and alone, but I'd managed to save up and buy an electric piano/keyboard, and I used to practice like that all the time. When I saw the movie for the first time, I realized that even if you can't play, your soul will hear it still. Such a beautiful and heartbreaking movie. Not only can you hear it in your head, it's actually almost as useful as real practice. I remember reading about a pianist in China who was imprisoned during the Cultural Revolution. He would practice in his cell by playing air piano like that. It kept his repertoire fresh. When he was released years later, he played a Beethoven sonata right away and still remembered all of it thanks to his practice. Cast Away. You're the love of my life. Helen Hunt was on screen for what felt like only about 30 minutes in the movie, but her portrayal of a woman who lost someone so important, but somehow learned to love again, then to lose them again, was a gut punch. I loved everything about Tom Hanks' acting in this movie, but it was Helen Hunt who made it truly memorable for me. Man, that movie messed me up. His sole purpose of surviving and hope was to be back with her. Finds out she remarried and was able to let her go after all that he went through. I'm so sad that I don't have Kelly, but I'm so grateful that she was with me on that island. And I know what I have to do now. I gotta keep breathing. Because tomorrow the sun will rise. Who knows what the tide could bring.